Hey, everybody, and welcome to Oh My Word with Katie, the show where we share stories of real life Christianity, the good, the bad, and the Oh My Word from believers who've been there. I'm your host, Katie Ginn, and I think these stories will leave y'all with some hope, some humor, and some practical life hacks. Today, I'm excited to get to interview Kristin Odom, who is the counseling director at First Ridgeland Church here in Central Mississippi. And we're going to talk about navigating college as a Christian, especially from a mental health standpoint, which is so crucial today, as well as some of her own story. So, Kristen, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. And you actually have a bit of an oh my word story that deals with your college and grad school experience. So, why don't you tell us about that?
Absolutely. I went to Texas Tech University for my undergrad. I'm from Texas and went there, got a bachelor's degree there, decided to pursue graduate school. So I went to Missouri. I was pursuing a doctorate degree, a doctor of psychology, which would mean I would be doing psychological testing, things like that, something I was very interested in. I was a senior at Texas Tech. And lo and behold, met a guy, and that just threw everything into a tailspin. So I went ahead and went to Missouri for grad school. I'd been there about 6 months. He decided to come on up and get a job there as an accountant. And so he moved there, continued the relationship. Things got a little more serious, and he proposed on, I think it was a Friday night. The next morning on a Saturday, he left for Quantico to become an FBI agent. So my life at that point, I was like, oh no, I have got to figure some things out. I now knew that my life wasn't necessarily on the track that I had set forth. The government now was going to be in control of where I lived and what I did and where my life continued on. So I, after a lot of praying and talking to my mentors and just prayerful guidance, I decided to drop out of the doctoral program and just pursue a master's. Because at the time, a doctoral program is a lot like med school. It's a 4 or 5 year program. Then you go through the match program. And then wherever I match, I've got to go, got to do an internship there, then a fellowship. And so it was just not feasible if I was going to pursue a marriage with a person that we needed to be in the same town. The
Yeah.
government telling him where to live and my grad school would be telling me where I was going to live. That didn't seem reasonable.
Yeah.
So I got my master's. He went ahead and went to Quantico. He was there for 6 months. He got out of Quantico and we got married about 2 weeks later. I graduated with my master's. And then at that point, the FBI in Quantico, your last week there, you list the 56 field offices, 1 to 56, in rank order of where you would like to live. And then it's this big ceremony of like, oh, where are you going? And so they have a big United States map and they give you a push pin and you put where you think you're going to go. I think he guessed Dallas. And then we were assigned Albany, New York. They got his arm with his push pin and they just like pushed his arm up to the top of the map. And he like puts his push pin in and he won the award for the lowest ranking location out of everyone in that class. So Albany, New York was ranked like 27 or something out of 56 for us. And everyone else got about top 10. So that was a very, oh my word, I'm a small town girl from East Texas. Now I had gone to Missouri for grad school, but I had no intentions of going any further north. But yeah, so we got married and moved to Albany, New York, and things kind of, unfolded. And now, 20 years later, I am married, 3 kids, and have a booming counseling center that I direct and I'm so proud of. I do sit around sometimes and think about like what would have happened if I would have pursued the doctorate, but I've been able to stay home with the kids. It's a lot more flexible than it would have been had I some big wig doctor job that would have required a lot of extra hours. Now I'm outpatient therapy. I set my schedule. I get to see who I want to see. And so this was definitely the Lord providing the path that I need to go. But was I really surprised at the time? Absolutely. So we did New York and then we went to Detroit, which is where we had 2 of our kids. Then we went to DC and now we're here. So we have a lot of oh my word moments over the last 20 years, but we've been here 10 years. We're so happy to be back in the South
Yeah.
and it's been great to raise our children here. Now he's been in long enough that they no longer can tell us where to move to because you get to a certain point where you have met a certain hierarchy where you don't have to really move. So we are here for the long haul until we choose to move.
Yeah, that must be a great feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. All right.
Yeah.
So before all of these big life events happen in your life and your career trajectory changed and your relationship trajectory changed as an undergrad in college, what were your college years like? What was your biggest struggle, and how did you handle it or not?
So I grew up in a small town. I was the typical at church every time the doors open. My dad was a deacon. My mom volunteered a lot. We were at the church all the time. So I get to college and kind of assume that that's the life that everyone lived. And then I realized very quickly that it's not the life everyone lived. I did college athletics. And so I was around a bunch of people that did not live the same way. And so that was eye opening to me. And what was something that I'd never had to actually, navigate was I've got to sift through the people that say they're Christians, but they aren't. Small town, like we knew, like if you say you're a Christian and you're not living like it on a Friday night, like we all knew because the town is 10,000, we all go to school together. But going to a big, D1 school at Texas Tech, like there's 50,000 people. And I'm like, I don't know. So that was somewhat difficult where I had to like learn a new skill of like, wait, are they putting on the front? How do I know? How do I not see judgmental? How do I like get to know people on a spiritual level without seeming like, hey, if you don't meet my requirements, then, but I loved that process. I definitely made great friends and great connections and great Christian community because I had to work so hard for it and to seek out what it really looks like to live your life for the Lord in college. Because that looks a lot different than small town East Texas, where my parents are like, hey, when they got the youth group lock in and you're going, I had to make my own choices. I had to do it myself. And there was a lot of times I chose not to do what was being encouraged by the BSM or whatever it was. What did help me a lot is there was a church in town that did a college night, basically. These big college towns do these kind of big, huge college events every week. And it was called Paradigm. It was on Tuesday nights and it was probably 700 people. And so that kind of helped me whittle down like the 50,000 to the 700. Then it was like, hey, all the freshman girls, y'all are going to go in this room. So now it's only 200 girls. And then, it kind of like made a big school seem a lot smaller, even though it was still on a large scale for me coming from a small town. There were a lot of times where I walked into a room and didn't know one person and thought, is this really worth it at a big college event where people say they're Christians? Like, I'm a weirdo. I'm the odd one out. I'm doing athletics, which doesn't always have a ton of Christian influences at a big D1 school. But yeah, that was probably my biggest hurdle is just trying to figure out who's in this for real and who's not. And there
Yeah.
were times where I don't want to sound like I always did the right thing. That is not the case. um, I I was at times having to tell myself, like, are you the real deal or not? So there's a lot of self-reflection for sure.
Yeah. What was the biggest way that you started to notice, like, okay, I don't think this person's the real deal? Like, what was usually the thing that you saw?
Consistency was something that I thought would be easy to point out in other people. But even with that, at a school that size and people just looking to belong, people were at all of those events and sometimes still didn't live the way that Christians should live. And so I think it was more of like a heart issue. So the reason I love counseling, even in undergrad, was because I don't really love small talk. Like, we don't need to talk about the weather. You can look the weather up yourself. And so being able to sit down with people, walk them to and from class and be like, what's the Lord teaching you? And they're like, want to grab ice cream? And I'm like, that's a weird response. I'm kind of like a hard issue girl. Hey, what are you struggling with? What's the Lord teaching you? Hey, if you're not in the word, like, why not? Let's do it together. I'm struggling. I don't mind asking the hard questions, but I also don't mind answering the hard questions. And that in college kids is something that is a real easy telltale when they back away from those like hard questions. Like, no thanks. They're going to redirect. They're going to deflect. They're going to be like, hey, let's go work out. Or, hey, why don't we go to lunch? Again, I had to learn myself that I had to be okay answering the hard questions if I was going to confront people and ask those questions. I had to be willing to do it myself. So probably like digging deeper into heart issues would be my.
Yeah, that's so good. All right, so your mom was a counselor. So Was there a certain moment or a certain age where you knew that's what you wanted to do?
No, I started my first 2 years and had no idea. That was back in the good old days where you didn't have to declare a major when you were 17, or I feel like now that's what people do. I've got a 15-year-old, so I feel like I'm starting to kind of be like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta start thinking through these kind of things." So, first 2 years of school, I had no idea what I was doing. I did all the basics and I had all the fun, and I just didn't know. At some point, you take like the intro to psychology class. I'm like, I mean, maybe. I liked human development. I love family studies. I love like child development. I don't have the patience to be a teacher, but I love the child development part of those classes. And so, no, there wasn't really a moment. I think it just whittled down. And I was the classic, like, Mom, I'm not going to do what you do. Like, I'm going to be my own person. I'm not going to grow up and do it your career. And then I did it anyway. But it's a perfect fit. And it was where I needed to be.
Awesome. Now, one thing, and this kind of goes into my story a little bit, I don't think OCD was an issue for me really until my senior year of college. And I was in a spiritual crisis. And that year just churned and churned and questioned everything you can think of to question about Christianity. And like did it repeatedly in an OCD manner that I didn't recognize at the time. But now, since then, it's been something I've had to deal with off and on, fortunately, a whole lot less frequently now, but it just seems like it was this thing that popped up at this certain time and now it's in my life. Does that seem to happen a lot? Is that legit? Was it always there? Like, what's your experience in seeing that with college kids?
So funny that you asked just about college students. Young adults, late high school, college kids through young adults are my favorite clientele. I love that age of life. I love the issues that come up. I love working through them. And so I feel like what the easy answer is no, it probably didn't just pop up.
Yeah.
The long answer is that when we get in situations where things are out of our control, clearly I have no idea what you were going through, but let's think about the common things that college students, young adults deal with. Who am I? My identity, my self worth. What do I believe? Is there something larger than life? Am I ever going to get married? I'm single. I'm weird. I don't even know what to look for because I had an absent father. I was adopted and I don't know what that looks like as an adult. I don't feel like I have any qualities that are going to get me hired. I've gone to college all of these years. What if I can't pass the resume test and I don't ever become the architect or the engineer or the whoever that I want to be? There's all these questions about who am I? And it kind of starts to filter into a lot of identity questions. And when we feel like things are out of our control. So I can't control if someone's going to hire me. I can't control if the girl behind me with her resume is better than mine. I can't control if that person didn't invite me to their 21st birthday. I can't control that my dad left. I can't control that my mom is now having to deal with my aging grandmother and she's not as present as she used to be. None of those things are in my control. So consequently, when things are out of control, we try to find something to control to balance that out. Because if not, that inner chaos starts to become overwhelming and all of us, including myself, be in the psych ward. And so we have to find ways to balance out that chaos and that out of control feeling with something we can control. Sometimes that's OCD. Sometimes that is an eating disorder. Sometimes that is drinking. Sometimes that's smoking pot. Sometimes that is overeating. Sometimes it's overspending. But all of these things this is how I control. I had a bad day. I'm going to eat a bag of Cheetos because I know how they feel. I know how they taste. I had a bad day. I just want to go get my nails done because I can sit there and I want to look pretty and I want to. I had a bad day, so I'm going to go sleep around. I had a bad day, so I'm going to go home and clean every aspect of my baseboards. I'm going to find something that I can control. I can drive myself to the nail salon. I can eat 3 burgers and throw them up. So when that chaos starts to set in, whether we realize it or not, we are grasping for something to control. And we just hope that the things people grab to control are something that's not going to be damaging. So things like addiction, things like promiscuity. By no means am I saying there are people that make wise choices about vices, but if we all have a vice, I would rather it be you eat 15 Hershey Kisses than you went up and shot up heroin.
Yeah, yeah. Or I mean, you binge read your favorite novel for the 15th time or.
Let's listen to a podcast. Let's do yoga. And it doesn't surprise me that it's your senior year of college. That's all of those external pressures and noise that comes from the outside of like, you better grow up, you better be who you're supposed to be, you better find a man, you better live your life and spread your wings, and you better like all of this pressure of this is what you should be doing either your senior year or in the year to come. You better live up to some standard that you've set for yourself or your parents or your friends or your church or your grandma or your teachers. So it doesn't surprise me that it was your senior year of college, but it's unfortunate that it hit you then. And then now it's been something you've had to deal with.
And it sucks that like my senior year was, I don't know, because at the same time that this was happening, I also was creating a business plan and prototype issue of a magazine for young Christian women while I'm in this spiritual intellectual crisis about, am I really a Christian? So yeah, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times because I loved working on that magazine, but then I would go home and, just ruminate on all these questions, and it was pretty miserable. So yeah, but that makes a whole lot of sense because it's sort of this turning point in your life where you feel like you got to figure things out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So is there a particular, I don't want to say diagnosis, or from your perspective as a mental health professional, what do you see college students struggling with the most in terms of, is it anxiety? Is it depression? Like, is there a particular thing that you're like, I'm seeing this over and over?
Yeah. I mean, probably not on a diagnosable scale, but it's a sense of belonging. Where do I belong? Where do I fit? Where do I feel like I can be seen, be loved, feel known? Mm. You come into that time with your sights set on, I'm about to have the time of my life. This is about to be your best years yet. I mean, I've said these things. Like I say these things, I have to catch myself because I'm like, sometimes it's not the best of times. And so you get in there and whatever position you held in your high school years, you get to college, your identity is wiped. And sometimes that's a lot for people to handle. And knowing like, who do I want to be? Do I want to rewrite my story? Where do I fit? Where do I belong? And those questions start to produce some anxieties. So I'd probably say anxiety. I hope that it doesn't get to a depression point, but I also kind of have a hard time with anxiety. It's a buzzword, and I hate that right now, where it's like everyone wants to claim that they struggle with anxiety. There is difference between like I worry and I'm worried about some things versus like I have diagnosable anxiety and need medication. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say anxiety, but that also doesn't mean that every person in college has anxiety.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean they're all like on a clinical level. Yeah.
People come in here and they're like, I just think I need some meds. I'm like, oh, look, we got a long time before meds. Let's talk. Let's figure things out.
Yeah.
We don't put band-aids on bullet wounds. If we have something we need to work out, anxiety med isn't going to help that you had trauma. That doesn't help. So yes, anxiety, but with a whole bunch of therapy to figure out what the anxiety is.
Yeah. Yeah. That just, when you say they're struggling with the sense of belonging and where do I fit in and where can I be seen and loved? I mean, that just about made me tear up. For people listening who are older than that age group, what would you say is the number one way we can, like a tangible thing we could do for a college student that we happen to know?
I love that question. My 100% answer is to just allow them a safe space to be fully known. We have a hard time feeling fully loved if we are not fully known. It's like, well, they don't really love me as a friend because they don't know me because I haven't shown them who I really am. So creating a safe space for anyone of any age group to just share who they really are so that you can fully know them, so that then in return you can fully love them. I can use you as an example. I don't know you at all. And if I looked you dead in the eyes and said, I love you, you'd be like, no, you don't. Like, you don't know me. You don't even know anything about me. And so I think if we create spaces where college kids, 40-year-olds, 80-year-olds, whoever they are, if we create spaces where it is safe for them to be fully known and they can say like, I'm struggling with addiction. I'm struggling with pornography. I hate myself. I hate my career. I hate my mom. I'm depressed. I'm overweight. I don't know what to do. Let them say it. Let them say it, and you create a space that's safe. And the hug usually helps too. The physical hug usually helps. But creating a safe space for them where they can be fully known so that in return, you can fully love them.
Yeah. How important it is in creating that safe space to be willing to say the extra 2% that you don't normally share. Like, because I feel like if I don't open up and tell somebody what I'm struggling with, they're probably not going to tell me what they're struggling with, right?
Abs- Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. As counseling director at a local church, what do you believe your calling is in this current season of life as far as how you, Kristen, are called to love God and love people and tell people about Jesus? Like, and what helps you like practically live that out day to day?
In the current season I'm in, I am so fulfilled by work. I absolutely love what I do. And it is starting to strangely intersect with my own personal life because the demographic that I love are 15 to 28, and I have a 15-year-old girl. And so I sit in this office and I see clients, and all I can do is think, I've got to go home and make sure my own 15-year-old is okay. Is she struggling? Is she thinking like what that girl thought? And has she ever had those thoughts? It definitely feels more personal when all of that starts to intersect with my own world and my own child. And so I have been very passionate about getting the word on the low shelf for my children, whatever that looks like. COVID, my oldest was a fifth grader. And so there was no church. So I started having Bible study in my house. So I did it every Wednesday after school, fifth, sixth, and seventh grade, the same little group of girls, and loved it. It was precious. I did all little Bible studies. We had snacks. It was great. Now I have a 13-year-old son, and I've been doing it. We they're too busy to do it after school, but I did it every Thursday before school, all of sixth grade, and I just finished all of seventh grade.
Wow.
So being able to have the hard conversations on this couch with clients, but then also getting to take nuggets of what I'm learning about how young adults function and take them home. And obviously, nothing HIPAA related. I'm not sharing clinical information.
Yeah.
Just things that I'm gathering about. 'Cause I haven't been a young adult in a long time. I haven't been a teenager in a long time. And it's sweet to see how the Lord orchestrates like my job with my own family and being able to like bring up things and then have my clients recommend books that I then can like tell my own 15-year-old, like, hey, you should read this. It's all like intersecting. And in the strangest way, I love it because it gives me like all this weird insight that I don't think I would have if I didn't do counseling. And I am trying to do what I can to fulfill my calling as a mother, as a clinician, and as a spiritual leader for my kids and providing and doing whatever that looks like. I mean, you've been a 15-year-old girl. Sometimes the questions I get, I'm like, whoa, that was a doozy. But it's sweet, it's precious. And like you talk about a daily calling and a daily basis. I mean, me coming to work this morning and looking her in the eye and having a conversation about who you are and what people say about you doesn't matter. Our identity is in Christ. Those are conversations that I almost have to have, I mean, weekly with a teenage girl. But I love being able to live that out daily. It's not always fun. But we talked yesterday about she wants to try to have some sort of Bible study through the summer. It's like a workout and a Bible study. And I love watching that blossom and being able to pour into young adults and teens in here, but also getting to kind of watch it happen on my home turf is pretty cool.
That's so much fun.
So,
Are there practical habits or things or people in your life that help you? Like, if I don't have this, I'm not going to be functioning well in my calling.
I've done a few podcasts, and every time I say I'm not going to bring up my friend Stephanie, but I just do. She lives here. She's from Texas, and I met her when I moved here. So fun. And we shared just about everything. And I don't know what it would look like if I didn't have her to bounce ideas off of, like, hey, I'm not feeling good. This is a problem. I'm struggling. I feel convicted. I don't think this is a friendship that I should continue. I don't think this is a relationship that's pursuing Christ. How do I handle this? And we have all of those conversations. We have them at midnight. We have them at 4 a.m. We have them in the middle of the day. She works, I work, and sometimes it's just whatever we can get done. Went to her house yesterday and tried to work some stuff out. It's a constant conversation for us. And sometimes it's easy and lightweight, and sometimes it's not. It took me a minute to find someone like her. I have a friend from college that can do the same. She's just in Texas, and so it doesn't look the same. But I have always told myself incorrectly that I needed 400 friends. It seems like a dumb thing to realize this late in the game, but quality over quantity. But it took me a while to believe that. And now that's all I need. I need someone that I can say, like, hey, I was a complete jerk to my husband, and now I have too much ego to actually apologize. So I need help. She's like, yeah, you got to apologize. They both can say back to me, like, you cannot say things like that. I need someone that I can be fully transparent with, because they do fully know me. I know they fully love me in return. And I need that as part of my life.
Yeah. Any tips for someone who maybe they're listening and they're like, well, I have this friendship that I really value and I'd like it to get to the, Kristin and Stephanie level. Are there any encouragement or tips for like getting over that hump, so to speak?
Because I've moved so much, I always talk about, like, I'd be like in Kroger with a baby in the carrier. And I want to be like, hey, want to go to lunch? I'm like, how do I do this? And of course, church is a great option. But when you already have the friendship and you want it to go to that deeper level, Stephanie and I started with, we laugh. I hope she listens to this. I pursued her like I was trying to date someone. Like I was like, so you want to grab lunch? She worked full time at the time. And she said, I'm so sorry. And I don't want this to be offensive, but I just don't really have friends that don't work full time. And then I said to myself, is that a challenge? Because I will prove this. So what she meant is that friendships were hard because if they didn't work full time, they were constantly meeting for lunch. Let's go somewhere at 10 a.m. And she's like, there is no me gallivanting around Jackson at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday. But I did. I pursued her pretty hardcore. I just felt like in my heart, that was a good fit for me. I courted her. I was like, so what do you want to do now? And it worked. Our lives are very aligned. Our kids are very in line. Our husbands are very good friends. I think what got us over the hump is we started doing a D group, a discipleship group that for our church is just 3 of us, same gender, 6 months of either going through something, scripture, a book, a Bible study, a podcast, and you meet every week. And that's probably what got us to the point we're at. And we kind of had to be like, hey, kind of the awkward, you want to do a D group? Is she ready? Is she open? Can she get to the spiritual level of conversation that I need? And that opened that up. We were already in the same life group at church, but we needed to kind of whittle that down. And I have been shot down. I pursued someone that I thought would have been a good, solid friendship, but she's from the area and she has 900 friends and went to school here. I didn't go to school here. And they all went to college together. Then they all came back here and now all their kids are here. And now all their kids go to that certain school and all their kids are being raised together. And I thought that I could just be like, I want to be included. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't mean spirited. It was just, they have 40 years of friendship and their kids have grown up in diapers together. And I wasn't a part of that. So I have been shot down. You win some, you lose some, but it was worth it. It was worth it to hold out and find what I feel like was the best fit. My friend in college is the exact same. I'll see her next week. But it's not the exact same because we don't see each other as much. And I can't be like, I'm about to lose my mind. Can I come to your house? But yeah, and it definitely helps to go the extra step. But it is a little awkward at times.
Yeah.
When you're doing that.
But it's worth it to embrace the awkwardness. All right, we're going to go into our lightning round. Are you ready?
I hope I'm fast enough. Ready.
What is your favorite thing about Jesus and why?
Ooh, favorite thing about Jesus is the rest and peace I get from him that I can't get anywhere else. I love my friends, but that's not the same peace and rest that I get when coming to Jesus.
Yeah. What brings you joy?
Oh, I love parenting. I love every aspect of it. It challenges me. It makes me a better human being. It makes me a better wife. It makes me a better believer. I've had to crawl to the feet of Jesus so many times because I'm not saying I am good at parenting. I'm just saying I love it because I love learning. It's like taking a new class. I don't always know what I'm doing. I tell the kids constantly, I'm like, you didn't come with a manual. I'm sorry. Me and your dad are doing our best. We don't always know what we're doing. The oldest we have to apologize to. Classic, like you're a guinea pig. Sorry. We thought that was a good idea. I love reading books about parenting. I love podcasts about parenting. And I spoke at a Women to Treat last January. I talked about things being idols. And we all sat around and talked about what our idols are. And I shared from the stage that my idol is my parenting. And that sometimes I like put it on a pedestal and I want to put all of my eggs in that basket. But I've got other things that I need to be a wife. I have a career. I'm a daughter. I'm a granddaughter. I'm a child of the Lord. And so I love it, but I also have to kind of keep it in check.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you have a favorite scripture or life verse that you would like to leave us with today?
I do. It's a life verse in general, but I think in a certain season of life I'm in, it feels to be one that I communicate to clients, my children, and I have it right here. 1 John 4:4, you, dear children, are from God and have overcome them because the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world. Just a reminder that we are chosen, we are his, and we are not intended to look like the world, although the world wants us to look like it. And that's a constant reminder for my young clients, college clients, young adults, teenagers, is that we are called to look different. I know it doesn't feel natural to look different, but that's our calling. So I love that verse just to remind us that God is greater than all of the struggles that you're dealing with and all of the obstacles that are coming your way. God is greater in all situations.
Yeah. Well, Kristin, thank you so much for being on the show today. This was such a cool conversation.
Yes. Thank you so much.
And y'all, if you enjoyed this episode of Oh My Word with Katie, please share it with your friends. Please follow us, subscribe, and be sure to give us both a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, because the more those we get, the more people we can reach with the joy that's found only in Jesus. I'll talk to y'all soon. Hey, y'all, it's Katie. If you enjoyed this podcast, you will love what we're doing at Mississippi Christian Living Magazine, which is all about pointing people to Christ and making their lives better. You can pick up free copies of MCL at more than 300 locations throughout the Jackson metro area. You can also visit mschristianliving.com or follow us on Facebook at MS Christian Living or on Instagram at MS Christian Mag. Thanks for listening to Oh My Word with Katie, and I hope you'll enjoy Mississippi Christian Living.